Hello everyone. Today's topic is anemia, general consideration. So before starting pathology, you should know the normal physiology of red cell. So red cell is a biconcave disc-shaped structure in 3 dimension, and the usual size of it ranges from 6.7 micron to 9 micron. Now this is a 2-dimension picture of a peripheral smear made from a anticoagulated blood. Here you can see the RBCs are of round or oval in shape with central pallor. The central 1/3 portion of RBC looks pale because of the disc-like shape of RBC in 3 dimension. Now the erythropoiesis or the generation of RBCs occur in the bone marrow, as we all know, under the influence of erythropoietin. And the development pathway of the RBC is early erythroblast, intermediate erythroblast, late erythroblast, normoblast, reticulocyte, and then finally erythrocyte. And erythrocyte, a mature erythrocyte, is an anucleated cell. So this is a picture of a development pathway of RBC. Here the stain used is Romanowski stain, and it shows the erythroblast, reticulocyte. This is a erythroblast or normoblast, usually seen in peripheral smear if there is any hemolytic anemia. So apart from RBCs, you can see WBCs in the peripheral smear. WBCs are further divided into agranular and granular. Lymphocytes and monocytes are an example of agranular leukocytes, and basophil, neutrophil, and eosinophils are an example of granular WBCs. So again, these WBCs are stained with Romanowski stain, and they will look like this. Now coming to anemia. So what is anemia? It is defined as a reduction in the concentration of circulating hemoglobin or oxygen carrying capacity of blood below the level that is expected for healthy persons of the same age and sex in the same environmental condition. It is most common hematological disorder, and it is almost always a secondary. Now what is the normal hemoglobin structure? It is heme plus globin, and globin portion contains 4 globin chains, 2 alpha type and 2 beta type. What is the normal range of hemoglobin? In male it is 13 to 17 gram per deciliter, in female it is 12 to 15, and in infant it is 9.5 to 14 gram per deciliter. Now how will we approach to diagnosis? So first of all, the question is whether anemia is present or not. If it is present, then we have to assess the severity and the cause of anemia. Now anemia is graded into mild, moderate, severe, and life-threatening. So what is mild anemia? When the hemoglobin level is 10 gram per deciliter to the lower limit of normal range. Moderate when it is 8 to less than 10 gram per deciliter. Severe when it is 6.5 to 8 gram per deciliter. And life-threatening when it is markedly low. Now coming to classification of anemias. So anemias are classified pathologically as well as morphologically. So first is pathological classification. It is further divided into 3 categories: anemia due to impaired red cell production, anemia due to excessive red cell destruction, that is called hemolytic anemia, and anemias due to excess blood loss. So first is anemias due to impaired red cell production. That may be because of cytoplasmic maturation defect. The examples are either because of deficient heme synthesis, which is seen in iron deficiency anemia, or because of deficient globin synthesis, which is seen in thalassemia. Then nuclear maturation defect. Vitamin B12 and folic acid deficiency is an example of nuclear maturation defect, which leads to megaloblastic anemia. Then defect in stem cell proliferation and differentiation. Aplastic anemia and pure red cell aplasia are the example of that. The other categories are anemia of chronic disorders, bone marrow infiltration, and congenital anemia. Now, second is anemia due to increased red cell destruction or hemolytic anemia. It is further divided into increased red cell destruction because of extrinsic abnormalities or because of intrinsic red cell abnormalities. So, which are the examples of abnormality intrinsic to red cell? The defect will be either in the cell membrane or in the hemoglobin or in enzymes. Hereditary spherocytosis and hereditary elliptocytosis are the example of defect in red cell membrane. Thalassemia and sickle cell disease are example of defects in hemoglobin, and G6PD deficiency and pyruvate kinase deficiency are examples of defects in enzymes. Then abnormality extrinsic to red cell. So first is immune hemolytic anemia, which are further divided into autoimmune, alloimmune and drug induced. Then mechanical hemolytic anemia. The example is microangiopathic anemia, cardiac anemia or March hemoglobinuria. Third is direct action of physical, chemical or infectious agent, and finally hypersplenism. We will discuss the hemolytic anemia in detail in a separate lecture. Now, anemia is due to excess blood loss. The blood loss can be of acute type, which is because of trauma, or it can be of chronic, which is seen in GI tract lesions and gynecological disorders. So that is all about pathophysiological classification of anemia. Now coming to morphological classification. So morphological classification is based on RBC volume and it is measured by MCV, that is mean cell volume. So if MCV is normal, that is 80 to 100 femtoliter is the normal range of MCV, then it is called as normocytic anemia. If it is less than 80 femtoliter, it is microcytic anemia, and if it is more than 100 femtoliter, it is macrocytic anemia. In peripheral smear, we refer the nuclei of a small lymphocyte to compare the size of RBC and to tell whether the RBCs are normocytic, macrocytic or microcytic. So which are the examples of microcytic anemia? Iron deficiency anemia, thalassemia, sideroblastic anemia and anemia of chronic diseases are example of microcytic anemia. Normocytic anemia further divided into anemia with normal reticulocyte production and anemia with deficient reticulocyte production. So normal reticulocyte production is seen in recent blood loss and hemolytic anemia, and deficient reticulocyte production is seen in aplastic anemia, myelophthisic anemia, chronic renal failure, etc. Then macrocytic anemia, megaloblastic anemia, non-megaloblastic anemia, anemia due to liver diseases or alcohol consumption, hemolytic anemia, myelodysplastic syndrome and hypothyroidism can cause macrocytic anemia. Now, which are the important causes of anemia in India? The nutritional deficiency is the most common cause, where it can be iron deficiency, folate deficiency or vitamin B12 deficiency. Then infectious like tuberculosis, malaria, Kala Azar, HIV and hookworm infections may cause anemia. Inherited diseases like thalassemia, sickle cell anemia and G6PD deficiency, and then blood loss like obstetrical problem can cause anemia. This is a diagrammatic picture of main causes of anemia in India. Now this is a normal peripheral smear we have already seen. Here we can see round to oval RBCs stained with Romanowski stain having central 1/3 pale area, and we have here a small lymphocyte as a reference to measure the size of the RBCs to tell whether RBCs are normocytic, microcytic or macrocytic. So this is a picture of iron deficiency anemia. Here you can see that the size of RBC is reduced. This is a classical picture of microcytic anemia, and then you can see that the central pallor is more. It is more than 1/3. So this is because of deficient hemoglobin. And this is a picture of macrocytic anemia. Here you can see the size of RBCs are increased and there is absence of central pallor. And here also there is a presence of hypersegmented neutrophil, which is a feature of megaloblastic anemia. Now clinical evaluation. So which are the signs and symptoms of anemia and on which factors they depend? So first is speed of onset, So rapidly progressive anemia cause more symptoms than severity. Mild anemia produce no symptoms, but severe anemia may produce significant clinical features. Age of the patients. Elderly patients produce more prominent symptoms. And then HB or hemoglobin dissociation curve. Then symptoms. Symptoms of anemia include easy fatigability, generalized muscular weakness, lethargy and headache. In older patients, there may be symptoms of cardiac failure or other cardiovascular symptoms. Now, which are the signs? Pallor is the most common sign of the anemia. So, we will notice pallor in the mucous membrane, conjunctiva and skin, and this is the most common and characteristic sign. Then signs seen in the cardiovascular system. The hemodynamic circulation may be present with tachycardia, collapsing pulse, cardiomegaly, murmur, etc. In central nervous system, patient may experience faintness, giddiness, headache, tinnitus, drowsiness, etc. Ocular manifestations include retinal hemorrhages associated with bleeding diathesis. In reproductive system, there may be amenorrhea, menorrhagia, or even loss of libido. In renal system, there is mild proteinuria, impaired concentrating capacity of kidney, and in GIT, patient may experience anorexia, flatulence, nausea, constipation, and weight loss. Now, lab diagnosis of anemia. The initial investigation which define the underlying cause. The first and foremost thing is hemoglobin estimation, and Sign-Mate hemoglobin method is the most accurate method for HB estimation. Then peripheral smear examination. Usually the peripheral blood is stained with Romanowski stain, and the smear is evaluated at the junction of body and tail. So first of all, we will look for the variation in RBC size, that is also known as anisocytosis. So we have to look for whether RBCs are macrocytic, microcytic, or there is dimorphic, means there is mixture of macrocytic, microcytic or normocytic RBCs. Then variation in shape, that is also known as poikilocytosis. We will see it in detail later. Then hypochromasia. Hypo means reduced in quantity, chromasia means color. So there will be a decrease in the staining of the RBC. Usually the staining of RBC is because of the presence of hemoglobin. So whenever there is decreased hemoglobin or low hemoglobin, there will be hyperchromasia, there will be increased central pallor because of thinness of red cell. Usually deep staining due to increased HB is called hyperchromasia. Now this is the poikilocytosis. Poikilocytosis means variation in the shape of the RBC. Here you can see the various shapes of the RBC. Hypochromasia means there is increased central pallor. Normally 1/3 of the RBC is having a central pale area. Then compensatory erythropoiesis. So following are the features of compensatory erythropoiesis. First is polychromasia. So there will be more than one type of color in RBC, and they are slightly larger, bluish grey, and they represent reticulocyte, which is a precursor of mature red blood cell. Then erythroblastemia, that is presence of nucleated RBCs in PS. They are found in large numbers in hemolytic anemia and may also occur after splenectomy. So this is a picture of polychromasia. Here you can see the large RBC with the bluish grey color, and this is a erythroblast or normoblast, which is seen in peripheral smear only in hemolytic anemia or after acute blood loss. Then punctate basophilia. It is a diffuse and uniform basophilic granularity in the RBCs, and it is seen in aplastic anemia, thalassemia, myelodysplastic syndrome, and lead poisoning. Howell-Jolly bodies. It is a purple nuclear remnant, usually single and larger than basophilic stippling. In megaloblastic anemia and splenectomy, it can be seen. So this is a picture of basophilic stippling, and this is a picture of Howell-Jolly body. This is a single purple inclusion body. Now RBC morphologic abnormalities. So morphologically, normally RBCs are round to oval in shape, but they can be of different size or different shape. So spherocytosis, schistocytosis, leptocytosis in target cells, irregularly contracted cells, sickle cell, crenated cell. These are the different cells which we can encounter during PS examination. So how do they will look? So normal RBC, then macrocyte which is increase in size, microcyte which is decrease in size, elliptical cell that is elliptocyte, then target cell, teardrop cell, sickle cell, acanthocytes, spherocytes. These are the examples. Now coming to red cell indices. So first is MCV, then MCH, MCHC and RDW. These are the few indices which can give clue to the diagnosis or cause of the anemia. Then leukocyte and platelet count. Apart from RBC, leukocyte and platelet count also can give hint. So they distinguish pure anemia from pancytopenia. In anemia due to hemorrhage or hemolysis, neutrophil count and platelets are increased, while in infections and leukemias, leukocyte counts are high, and you can see immature WBCs in the peripheral smear. Then coming to reticulocyte count. Now we all know that reticulocyte is a precursor of a mature RBC. So it will assess the erythropoietic activity of bone marrow. So in a case of anemia. So normally they range from 0.5 to 2.5%, and in newborn it is 2 to 5%. So reticulocytes are increased in anemia with effective red cell production. That means bone marrow is doing normal erythropoiesis, but there is loss of blood which can lead to increase in reticulocyte count. There is lysis of RBC, that means hemolytic anemia, or in response to therapy there is increased reticulocyte count. The decreased reticulocyte count is seen in anemia with decreased red cell production, or it is also known as inefficient erythropoiesis. So in iron deficiency, in megaloblastic anemia, in aplastic anemia, and in anemia of chronic diseases, there will be decreased reticulocyte count. Then ESR, it is a non-specific test used as a screening. Then bone marrow examination. The cause is not obvious by doing complete blood counts. We may go for bone marrow examination. We can do aspiration as well as trephine biopsy of bone marrow. Then specific test according to the specific anemia. For example, in iron deficiency anemia, apart from these investigation, we can go for serum iron level or total iron binding capacity, transferrin saturation and serum ferritin. So we will discuss this specific test in detail while we are discussing the specific anemias. So this is all for today. Anemias, general consideration. Thank you.